Hey guys, hope you're well. The other day I was very fortunate enough to be gifted the new PlayStation 5 DualSense Edge Controller, which is their new Pro controller that they brought out exclusively for the PlayStation 5. Now, my understanding is that this is Sony's first ever Pro controller that they've made, so it comes with back buttons, two different options for those. You can change the trigger length. You have two new function buttons on the end, which means you can, on the front, sorry, so you can change the profiles that you set up for this controller. So this is the bad boy that we're talking about. Yeah, I'm going to unbox it, show you what accessories you get with it, show you a bit of the setup that you have to do on the PlayStation 5, and then just give my kind of thoughts on the controller and whether or not it's worth it at its very high price point of £210. So this is the box that it comes in, and even from the get-go you can kind of feel the weight behind it. Then it comes in this little inner box with the PS logo, and then in there we've got the case that it comes with, the carry case, which is quite a high quality and durable and quite a tough little clamshell. Nice PlayStation logo there. It's got the symbols behind. It's quite a big little case, I have to say, and there is a little port at the back that you can pull down to put the cable in to charge your controller while it's sitting inside this. Yeah, it's interesting that they supplied this. Personally, I didn't need this case. I'm not even sure I'm going to put it right now, but that is what you see when you open it up. Very well packaged together. So onto the controller itself. Obviously, you can see how different it is to the original white controller you get with the PS5. It's got the nice black D-pad, black touchpad, the black symbol buttons on the right, and that glossy black finish. This is the back, two holes to put the back buttons in, and those levers at the top to do the triggers. This is the cable you get, very good cable, very long, braided as well. PS logo in there as well. This is one of the options for the back buttons, kind of the back pedals. This is the second option, a much smaller button. And then you get this interesting lock case. So you put the USB-C side of the charging cable into this, plug it into your controller, and then you hit the lock mechanism. And this will stop the charging cable being pulled out from your controller. So kind of interesting, not something I needed. The cable never really gets pulled out of my controller, but yeah, definitely an interesting thing, especially if you're a competitive gamer. So then you also get these joysticks, the L3 and R3. So you get two options, the taller ones that I just showed and these small ones. So I'll just compare them next to each other. There it is, the small one on the left and the taller one on the right. And then here we're going to show the trigger button. So it's at its fullest and it goes all the way down. As you can see, you go down one level to the mid level, and then it only goes there. And then its shortest range is here, where, I mean, look at that. That's the press R2, which is pretty good, and I think definitely good for FPS players. That's the controller next to the original one. So you can see the kind of differences that it's got. It's got that glossy black finish on the bottom. I do prefer the black buttons, I'll be honest. I found the original one to look a little bit dull. I like the symbols when they had their allocated colors on them. So I have to say, looks wise, I do prefer the DualSense Edge. You can see the function buttons there at the bottom of the joysticks. So here we're going to put in some of these back buttons. So it's very easy. It's kind of operated by magnets. So you can line that up with the hole. It has a bit of a square side to it, and you can just loop that in. It just clicks in, really comfortable, and yep, good to go. So really easy to put in. A little bit more tricky to pull out, I would say, but yeah, no real hassle there. So then you plug it in and turn on your PS5 and you get this menu, which kind of just takes you through a few quick pages showing you what your features are, customizing the back buttons, the trigger levers, taking out the analogs. the FN buttons, etc. I haven't yet taken out the analog sticks, but I do know that it's quite straightforward, and it's not something I'm going to show in this video, but I know it's quite easy to do based on what I've seen online. So yeah, there's quite a few options. It's really interesting what you can do with it. So here you can customize your button assignments. I've made a profile for the game Warzone. So for my back buttons, I was just thinking of picking one to be triangle, which is armor plating, and the other one to be circle, which is crouch and lie down. Because I'm so crap at Warzone, and that's what I do most of the time, lying down on the floor, re-armoring. But yeah, I just thought to take advantage of it, I would pick buttons that are further away from the joystick, so I can kind of keep my thumb on the right joystick and then press square and X quite easily, but triangle and circle I can use the back buttons. Here I just picked precise because it seemed to be aimed at FPS, but it's definitely something I'm gonna have to experiment with. The Deadzone graph, I'll be honest, I didn't fully understand it, and I'm not sure if like I'm going to have to edit this and then go play some FPS game and then come back, re-edit it and just work out what I want. I'm not sure. Maybe it might be something good to do in a maybe single player FPS game instead of having to always load up and find a lobby, etc, etc, for an online multiplayer. Here you have a triggered dead zone, which how much you can press before it actually does the action. So you can see on that semicircle, most of it's gray there where I'm pressing, and then you have to get to the final section for it to action. So then you can make these profiles and rename them and then assign them a button. So function plus circle or X or triangle or square. I just went for function plus square. I do like the function buttons. I think they're quite cool, particularly the volume controls. I think that's really interesting. So you can adjust your headphone volume up and down with the FN plus with the D-pad, or FN with D-pad left and right. You can alter the audio balance between your game audio and the party chat, which I think is really cool. I've never owned one of these Pro controllers before. I've always just used the one that came with the console. So this has been quite interesting for me. I think playing a couple of games of Warzone, an FPS game, the first thing that sprung to mind that I really liked was the triggers. So I quite liked how you could shorten how much you have to press the button to activate whatever the R2 and L2 does. I really like that. That definitely came in an advantage to aiming down sights and shooting people very quickly. So I think that's really good, and I like that it's separate to the profiles. You can just use that lever that I showed you and just change it whenever you want, even mid-game. I do like the function volume control. I think that's pretty good. So if you hold down function and you use up and down on D-pad, that increases or decreases the volume of the game when you've got headphones plugged in to the controller. And if you use left and right on the D-pad, it alters the audio mix between the gameplay and the party. So if you want to hear your friend a bit more or hear the game a bit more, you can change that very quickly instead of pausing and going to the PS menu, etc. So I like that. I'd like to hope that more functions get added, or perhaps you can modify it. So for example, you could hold function and press L2 and R2 and that would do something. Like maybe you could do function R2 as a shortcut to the settings menu, or even a particular one like the network, for example, if you want to check your internet connection and speeds. Maybe you could do another one where function and L2 or R2 goes straight to the trophy page, which I know for a lot of you guys watching, that would be pretty handy. I would definitely like that. I'm sure those are like firmware software updates, which they can hopefully build upon in the game, on the controller. The back buttons, I'm not used to, like I said, I'm not used to Pro controllers, so I'm not used to buttons on the back. I tried the lever ones that I showed you first when I did the unboxing, and I kept my fingers just kept kind of like rubbing into them, and just felt a little bit odd. I even kind of pressed them by accident a few times, particularly the right one with my right hand. So I'm going to switch to those little dome type buttons and try those. So that's definitely something to get used to. Obviously, I didn't always remember that those buttons were there. So sometimes I would still default to pressing triangle or circle, as those are the buttons I configured to the back buttons. So that's something to remember. I like the rubber grip on the back. That's pretty nifty. I think that's really good. Adds a little nice extra feel with the controller. I like the weight to it. Not that the original ones didn't weigh enough, but I like this extra kind of weight that it has. I obviously like the look that I've kind of made clear at the start of this video. And when it comes to this controller, I think obviously everyone knows what the elephant in the room is, and that is battery life. Now, I've not played on it long enough to have an opinion on it or to clarify or confirm how good or bad the battery life is, depending on your perspective. But from what I'm gathering, the info I've got, it's between 4 and 6 hours, I think, depending on the game you play. And also you can help by making the vibrator intensity less. So I think it starts default on strong, and I already changed it to medium because I didn't need it on strong. I think you can maybe remove some of the lights that shine on the touchpad, etc., and try your best to increase battery life that way. But I don't know if that's going to be a problem for me, because right now in my life, the longest I will game for is maybe 4 to 5 hours if I'm lucky. I think for some of you guys who are going to game all day, then yeah, you're going to need to charge your battery while you're playing. They've obviously supplied a really premium cable. It's braided. It's very long. So if you have some massive living room where your TV and your seat are far away, I'm sure this cable will reach. If you're someone who's gaming at a gaming table, gaming desk with a monitor, the cable being too long might actually be annoying. So you might want to tie it up, maybe put a little Velcro strap on it or something. Then on to the big thing, which is the price. So in the UK, it retails at £210, which is a lot of money for a controller, a lot of money even for a pro controller. I know that the Xbox equivalent retails at far less. When I think about who this controller is for, I kind of think it's aimed for two groups of people, and I belong to one of them. I think it's definitely aimed at the primary audience is competitive gamers. It's definitely aimed at the people who play competitive games online, you know, your Warzones, your Apex Legends, PUBG games, Fortnite. Because you've got the lock-in charger so that the charging cable can't be pulled out, and a lot of competitive gamers like a wide connection. You've got the carry case, which I presume, you know, if you're a professional competitive gamer and you go to events in your country or internationally, you'd want to take your controller with you and obviously use that carry case. I don't think I'll ever use that carry case. I'm probably going to put my old controller in there and then put it away in storage somewhere. I think the second group it's aimed at, which is the group I fall into, would be, you know, passionate gamers with disposable income who can afford this controller. Don't necessarily really need it, but can afford it. You know, for £210, that's half a PS5. That's a lot of money. I mean, if you break it down, if money is tight for you and you only have so much money you can spend on your gaming hobby in the year, you know, do you want £210 of that to be put onto a controller when you already have a good controller? Perhaps you even have two PS5 controllers. For £210, you could get yourself the PlayStation Plus Essential subscription in the UK for a year for about £84. You could then get yourself two brand new AAA games that are coming out this year. So, you know, you could get, on one hand, you have a DualSense controller. On the other hand, you could have the PlayStation Plus extra membership, which gives you access to hundreds and hundreds of games, enough to last you possibly years. You'll get straight away Demon's Souls, Returnal, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Assassin's Creed Odyssey Origins, Far Cry 5, Far Cry New Dawn, The Division, Devil May Cry is now on there. So loads of games of total different genres. You could get that, and you could get yourself, Hogwarts Legacy and Dead Space that just came out recently. So I don't think it's worth the money. I'm very lucky. It was gifted to me as a present from someone special in my life. So a big shout out to my girlfriend. So I think unless you're a real committed player who plays a lot of FPS games, for example, if you're someone, I know some people like this, who when they game, they only play Warzone, nothing else. They don't play FIFA, they don't play single player games, they don't play Red Deads or Last of Us or Uncharted, NBAs or FIFA. They just play Warzone. Even on Call of Duty, they don't play the campaign, they don't play other multiplayer, they only play Warzone. And that's every day. So if you're one of those gamers, then yeah, I think this controller's aimed at you and would be of good value. If you're someone like me who clearly loves gaming, loves platinum hunting, and I play games, I wouldn't say every day, but most days of the week I will get some kind of gaming in, most days of the week. And if you can afford it, and I think, yeah, go for it. It's a good PS5 accessory to have. But yeah, all in all, I don't think it's worth the money. I think that you could spend that huge sum of money elsewhere in your gaming infrastructure. You could invest in the PlayStation Plus subscription. Like I said, you could put it towards a really good gaming monitor. You could put it towards your next television. If you're someone who games with headphones, buy a really good set of headphones that will make your gameplays more immersive and make you enjoy your games more. Yeah, I think there's just better uses of your money if that money is going towards your gaming budget. So, but it is still a very well-made product. I'm not shitting on it in any way. I just think the price point is way too high, and me being a newbie to pro controllers, I need to spend more time with it and see how much more I like it. I think hopefully maybe in 3 months, perhaps I can do a kind of longer term review and looking back on it and how much I've used the functionality of it and how much I've enjoyed it and how it's benefited me. So I think that's something I'm definitely going to do. I'm going to keep an eye on how I use it and what I use it for, and review it in a few months from now to see if it really was all worth it. So yeah, I hope you've learned something from this video or taken something from it. At least at the bare minimum, you'll see what's in the box. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's given you some kind of guidance on whether or not you should get this controller. It'd be great to kind of hear from some of you guys in the comments whether or not you have the controller and what you think of it, or if you're planning on getting it and if this video has led you towards getting it or put you off getting it. But as always, thanks a lot for watching and take care.